Welcome to the Retro Blood.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood. As we finish up from the Graves Month, Part 2. Talking dead, slimy creatures that tear and rip your soul apart. Up next.
That's Hellraiser.
Well, you know, they rip your body and soul apart at the same time.
They do.
You know, the xenomorphs, they just they do some German sex tactics on you while they do it.
The xenomorphs are the things from Alien.
Oh shit! Okay. I mean, Cenobites. The Cenobites.
Cenobites, yeah.
All right? They rip open your soul. But up next, if y'all like angry soldiers who talk like this, and I want to find the bottom of this, or I'm gonna rip your ass. And if y'all like if y'all like a guy named Logan trying to teach a zombie how to listen to some music and become his friend, if y'all like some girl named Sarah who's like confused during the whole movie, she's trying to like save humanity but she's not really doing a good job, and if you like a guy named Flyboy who just wants to go to the beach, then this is the review for you, brother, because the Retro Blood is talking all about Day of the Dead, 1985. J. Alison, James Kline, what's happening?
What's up, man? Yeah, another late night recording for us, so this is awesome. We haven't done this in a while.
I know. That's why my brain's all scattered, man. And
I know.
And I recently did see that new Aliens movie.
I saw it Tuesday.
How did you like it? I thought it was pretty good.
I loved it. I love how they made it look like the original Alien. Yeah. This is gonna be some spoilers, people. If you haven't seen Alien Romulus yet, you need to go out and see it because I'm gonna spoil it for you. But yeah, I love how like when it starts, like the credits look just like the credits from Alien.
Yeah.
And then I knew I was gonna love it when they first went inside the spaceship and they had those like shitty 1980s computers like they used in the 1979 movie.
Yeah, I like that.
Loved it. They didn't use like special shit or anything. So it was awesome.
I liked everything about the movie. The cast was there. Some of them are kind of annoying to me. You know. They were just kind of just annoying. Like especially like the uber British guy. Like the thing is, I saw it.
Oh, that guy was really annoying. Yeah.
I saw
he was supposed to be.
Well, also too, like it was kind of hard to follow him. Because when I watched the movie, it was at that Regal, like, you know how Regal has their own, like, IMAX? Like, it was, like, super loud and bassy. Like, his voice was drowned out.
Same thing.
Yeah. His voice was just all drowned out.
Yeah, I did not like the RPX, or fake IMAX, as I call it. But, the only characters that I really liked, which I think was the intention, was I liked Andy, and I liked Ripley, too.
Yeah. Yeah, she was all right.
Her name was.
yeah, Ripley, too, sounds good. Like and then like I thought the action was good. I thought like the them bringing back the Ash guy, that that was kind of cool, even though they totally like did the whole like new thing where they like animate their face. And like the only thing I was kind of semi confused about was the baby alien at the end.
That was fucked up. I was like, holy shit. Like, yeah.
And I was thinking, like, because, like, it was supposed to be in the timeline of Alien 1 and 2, this was. But I guess, like, we don't ever see the baby alien again, right? Like, I think there is a baby alien that comes out of Ripley in, like, Resurrection, right? But I don't think it looks like this guy.
No, but, that's also not Ripley in Resurrection. It's like a clone or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Very, very, very fun. Everybody check it out if you haven't already. But, we just spoiled it. But, if y'all checked it out, I thought it was pretty good. It's a good, to be honest, it's a good side story. It kind of expands some parts of the canon. You know what I mean? Where like, what they do with the black ooze and everything. But, it's a pretty good like side movie. Kind of like how Rogue One was for Star Wars. It's kind of like very similar to like that with Alien.
Thought the same thing. It was very Rogue One like.
Yeah. Like it's
very Rogue One like. I also liked how, I don't know how much you know about H.R. Giger and his work, but like he had created the original xenomorph for Alien, But like when you look at the stuff in the original Alien, like the doors kind of like look like pussies and things like that. They really did a lot of that in this movie. Like when the alien is inside that cocoon thing, then it pops out of the cocoon. It looks just like a giant pussy. Like it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, the visuals on this movie are fantastic. Like that's like the best part, really, is it?
Yeah.
The young cast was kind of like throwing me back a little bit, but you know everything else I thought was pretty good with the film. So.
Yeah, well, we're older people now.
Speaking of good, how was your trip to a Florida bunker? All right. Eating and trying to stay away from the dead. Huh?
Fantastic. It was fantastic.
Bro, this movie still holds up, man. Like, this is... okay.
It does.
So before we get into the full breakdown, I got to say one thing. Mm-hmm. I know this movie is not a comedy. It's supposed to be serious. It's supposed to have a serious tone to it. It's about the dead coming up. You know, these group of scientists and soldiers in a bunker trying to, you know, figure out, you know, how to stop the attack and see if there's more people out there or how to control them. But this fucking Rhodes guy, goddamn, was he fucking just, he was just cracking me up the whole movie. I mean, every fucking line. You remember that movie, Full Metal Jacket?
Yes.
You know what I mean? At the beginning, we got that sergeant guy. He's just like going crazy on Pyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That Sergeant Patton, whatever the guy's name was. Bro, this Rhodes guy was like him, like this whole movie. You sit down or shut up and stop playing tricks with them. Like, bro, this guy was like an old school wrestling heel throughout the whole movie. It's great.
Yeah, I think that George Romero has like an anti-military mindset in a way. You can kind of tell from this movie, I think. But like, I think that's, to him, that's what the military is like.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's very interesting because, you know, this movie also too, like, you know, during its time period, 1985, I mean, this has to be the best gore I've seen out of a 1985 movie so far. Like, Tom Savini just like fucking, he just kills it in this movie. I mean, my God, when they're ripping the fucking soldiers apart and that one guy, you can see his head flying, you know, like they rip off his head and his eyes are still going after that. I was like, fuck. Like,
yeah, you could tell they spent a little bit more money on this than they did on
a little bit more.
Dawn of the Dead. Well, a lot more than they did on
the fucking Dawn of the Dead. They just put some makeup on his ass. All right, this one they actually had real decaying zombies walking around.
That's true. You're right. I didn't even think about it that way. But and during the Dawn of the Dead era, a zombie was like a guy with gray face paint on.
Like they still kept the gray face paint, but they actually gave it more, you know, aesthetic. Yeah. They put more like rot and decay on the faces. So, you know, I think this movie also too is probably one of the. It has to be I think this movie is more of a pioneer for modern day zombie movies than even like, you know, Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead were. Because when I was watching this film, it was like, oh my God, like almost every scene is like, fuck, they did that on The Walking Dead. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Walking Dead definitely took a lot of influence by this movie, you know, not only just the TV show, but the comic book as well. And of course, you know, two guys that worked on Walking Dead also worked on this movie too. We'll talk about them here in the episode as well too. But it's very, very fascinating to see. So, and it's kind of cool that we also did the sequel to Dawn of the Dead, the Italian style Zombie or Zombie 2, and now we're doing George A. Romero's sequel to Dawn of the Dead. So very, very cool stuff. And maybe we'll rate them. I don't know. I would say they're different in a lot of ways, but like I think both sequels are great in their own way. They're different in a lot of ways, but they're good in their own ways. But let's get into what was going on in the world of professional wrestling and the metal music. We do this every episode to give you all, you know, we're kind of like what's his name? Steel. Okay? We are going to be calm around you for a little bit, but we're mostly going to be yelling at you about stuff that we like. You know what I mean? And we're going to get pissed off if you fuck up one little thing. If you don't like it.
Right.
And we're just going to keep you. To be honest with you, I think this guy just stayed mad the whole movie. He was just pissed off the whole time. Okay? So,
Yes.
But we're going to talk about wrestling and metal very calmly on this show, unlike Steel, I guess.
Very, very calmly. It's a very calm night. I'm having a few drinks, so it's I'm very calm.
It's going to be a calm one.
As calm as I ever get, really.
So this movie came out July 19th, 1985. Okay? And you know, me and Alison, we always like talking about the 1985 era because I think there's a lot of cool shit to happen around this year. You know what I mean? Like a lot of good movies came out. We had the first WrestleMania come out. You know, metal's really starting getting going. You know what I mean? Especially with some underground metal. So, but the first thing I want to talk about is the wrestling side. And every time I get to talk about this show, I get super excited. Because, I mean, I probably one day, if I had more time, you know what I mean? I would definitely do like a side podcast just talking about all these episodes, and that is Tuesday Night Titans.
Okay? Oh, yes.
The talk show hosted by Vince McMahon, Lord Alfred Hayes. Just like, it's just a weird show. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's such a great show. You know, I talked about this show many times on the podcast. But I think it's a really cool show because it actually like expands all these wrestlers' characters. You know what I mean? Like it's not just a wrestler going in front of the screen and talk about his opponent. You know, that we see a lot of times in wrestling, especially during this era. But it kind of like it gets you like more in depth at the characters, which I can appreciate. So, so like I'm not gonna talk about the whole episode. Because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Day of the Dead, so I don't want to like drown out every detail of what happened on the show, which there wasn't a whole lot that happened on this particular episode. But I'll recommend the three things that I recommend you guys checking out, which you can find this on the Peacock. I believe it's like episode like 42 or something. So the big thing about this episode was the time period, Alison, that we had the Macho Man, and he just debuted for the World Wrestling Federation. And if you can remember, when he first debuted, there was a bidding war for him to be his manager. Do you remember this angle in wrestling? Where we had the managers bid for Macho Man? Do you remember that?
I do, yes. Now I think about it, I forgot about that. But yes, I do. They all come out and they all... wasn't it like... Albano, and Freddie Blassie, I can't remember who, and Heenan,
and Jimmy Hart.
I remember that, yes, and Jimmy Hart, yes.
So what they did was they showed the Macho Man's like debut match, and while he was fighting like this jobber, all these managers came out, and they're like everybody was shocked, like, oh, what's Jimmy Hart doing out here, or what's Freddie Blassie doing out here, what's Bobby Heenan doing out here. And basically, they wanted to sign Macho Man as their top free agent because, you know, they're making Macho Man a star. So Macho Man comes on this episode, and he is his full gimmick, man. Like, I mean, my God. He's like, yeah, I'm the best, brother. I'm going to come out. I can't do Macho Man at all. Okay, I don't do the Macho Man voice, but he was basically saying that he is basically the top wrestler in the world right now, and he's the one who can beat Hulkamania. And he's going to beat Hulk Hogan. And he doesn't... This is crazy. Like, this is like 1985, and they're already starting a rival between Macho Man and Hulk Hogan. And Macho Man's like, you know, I heard about this Hulkamania shit and stuff. You know, what about... All I know and all I care about is the madness. The madness. I was like, damn. And it's crazy to think. Like, this is 1985, and he's still going to be doing the madness and Hulk Hogan feud at least 15 years after this, because it kind of died around 2000. Was, you know, like you know, actual matches between the two, but that's like a 15-year rivalry. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Yeah,
because I didn't even really think about that, but yeah, he when he was talking about the madness, in WCW, it was the same thing he'd been doing since he first got there, which is crazy to think.
And you know what's funny about this episode too? Macho Man's like, TNT is great it's fantastic to have me, and I'm, you know, like I feel great to be on TNT. I was like, man, You're gonna be saying it's gonna be a different TNT you're gonna be on about 10 years later.
Yep.
Because it goes on the Turner.
Yep,
So,
and they're going to be lucky to have him then too.
Yeah, and then basically the whole show, most of the good part of the whole show was the managers buying their cases to get Randy Savage to be in their employment. Bobby Heenan was basically talking about, if you come with me, I'll make sure like you'll go to Beverly Hills and we can pick out the best clothes for you. You're already a big star. I can make you a bigger star. Jimmy Hart's like saying, hey, look at the clothes I wear. You can wear the same clothes as me in Memphis.
Yeah, because we want that.
And then Freddie Blas is like, oh, you don't want to, you're dressing like me anyway. I'll just make you dress better. Because Freddie Blas used to wear like similar stuff to Macho Man with the really bright colors and everything. And basically the managers are just going back and forth and bickering with each other about who's going to be, the Macho Man's manager. And then they start ripping on each other, saying Bobby Heenan got dumped. Jimmy Hart hasn't, managed anybody with value. And then Freddie Blassie lost the tag team titles recently and stuff. So they're just kind of bickering with each other. But it's kind of a neat angle. And the payoff is really crazy too. Because if you remember the payoff, that's how basically Macho Man doesn't pick any of these managers. He picks Elizabeth to be his manager, which was different at the time because there's never been a woman. Well, I think there might have been a woman manager, but I don't know if there was a woman manager. I think she might have been the first. I'm not exactly sure about that. Don't quote me. Because, I thought maybe Baby Doll might have been, but I think she came later in 1985, right?
Yes, it wasn't that early for sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's it. It's a pretty famous angle of Macho Man actually debuting in the WWF. Is him not picking any of these managers and going with the woman manager, which obviously would make him, that's one of the big acts of his career was that. Another thing on this show, which was like the worst part of the show, but like, I don't even know what I was watching. Okay. Remember those Raws we had to go through? That like, it had that Vince McMahon, like stupid comedy. You know what I mean? Like that awful comedy.
Yeah.
Maybe when they had, like, didn't they have Obama on there one time? Like a fake Obama fight somebody or something? All that. Remember that Bobby Lashley's sisters and shit?
I thought they had, like, I don't remember that specifically, but I remember, like, during the Obama's original run for the presidency, didn't they have, like, a fake Obama and a fake McCain come out
and fight each other or something? Yeah.
I don't think they fought anybody. I thought they just came out waved or something. But I don't know.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. Okay. I remember it being like some stupid shit. Like every once in a while during the McMahon era, they would do like this really, really horrible comedy. And they started that here in 1985 because we have Rick McGraw. Bro, this Rick McGraw, like if you couldn't implant him with a personality. Okay? Like he was so wooden. He was like the most wooden guy I've ever seen in wrestling ever. He didn't know what to do or say or anything. It was like a fucking statue up there. Golly, it was horrible. And he was in a match with Bret Hart, okay? From this like May 20th house show. And after that match, they just show clips in that match. And then after this, Alfred Hayes pleads with McGraw not to get married, but McGraw already messed up and he's already married. And then we get his married woman out there, okay? And so, like we get like this like woman actor on here, like just like fucking saying the most ridiculous lines, okay, I've ever heard. Just like some corny shit. So, but yeah, it was pretty bad. Okay, like it was pretty like horrible like comedy and shit that was going through this girl's face and that her mouth pretty much.
I was gonna say most of that stuff is pretty horrible, and Vince is known for really horrible comedy.
Yeah,
so none of that surprises me.
So, but those two things are the most pretty much the best part of the show is having the Randy Savage manager bid. Because that was like took up most of the show, but I was like seeing these TNTs. Maybe one time I'll go into them, do my own separate podcast. Maybe I'll do like a more detailed experience for everybody, because I really do like this show, and I think this show should be remembered a lot, because it's just very fascinating to see the development of these wrestling characters through like a talk show format. So, but let's get on to the metal music, because we actually have a cool band this time around, and I actually haven't heard about this band until I found it on this date when I was looking up for our history segment this month. But apparently this
is new for me too.
Yeah, apparently this album came out on the exact day that Day of the Dead came out, July 19th, 1985. And that is the band Sacrilege. They released their first debut album, Behind the Realms of Madness. Maybe that's Randy Savage's, maybe that's where he got his inspiration, from this Sacrilege album.
Maybe they should have done his entrance music.
That'd been wild.
Yes, especially for its time.
Exactly. I don't know, that one would have worked out. But yeah, I mean this. So the big thing about this album is, for its time period, it's a pretty like thrashy punk album. You know what I mean? Like
I was about to say it's super like punk influenced.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a girl singer, and it's like really like hardcore influenced. Which wouldn't have been uncommon in 1985, but the fact that it's almost crossover in a way, because it's almost like metal with like really, really hardcore vocals. But it's kind of thrash, but not quite. But yeah, I really like that song "Shadow from Mordor," or the second song. That was really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, at Death's Door and stuff. Like basically, this would be. It's. I would say it's like super fast thrash, but it's probably more on the lines of like a Morbid Angel. You know what I mean? More of the lines of like a Death a little bit.
Kinda, yeah. But way less technical though.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's really unusual. Like I haven't really seen or heard anything kind of like this really. But they were kind of only together for like a few years. Of course they're back together again now, like all those bands are, but yeah, they were only together for like 4 years or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, this would definitely be like some underground music. You know what I mean? Especially even for its time, 1985. So I could see, like, maybe them not getting booked at a lot of, like, places to play the music. Because, it still had that signs of death and, like evil Grim Reaper stuff. You know what I mean? So it still has that, like, there's still that taint around 1985 and some of the 80s where, like, that stuff was, like, very, very looked down upon. But it's crazy because, like, that stuff was also, like, popular at the same time. So it was popular with the big underground fans, but it wasn't, like, the easiest stuff to get. Because, getting something like this, it's not like you can fucking open up your phone, like I did, and just search the band and find
listen to it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You would have to
you would have had to go somewhere. Yeah.
You would either have to go to a band that you liked that had this band on the build, or you would have to go to the local record store and see if it's like, see if the album, like what we talked about many times, catches your eye. Which this album definitely would. I mean, it has like this Grim Reaper on it with a bunch of graves and shit. I'd be like, hell yeah, I'll check that shit out. I like the name. So...
yeah, like I guess like a couple of the guys that are in this band used to be in the Vrookers, which was like a British punk band, and then they started Sacrilege with that girl Linda. What's her name? Linda Simpson. Yeah, Linda Simpson. Yeah, I don't know. It's really unusual. It's kind of a thrash, and it's also kind of hardcore punk. So if you like punk or you like thrash, you'll probably like this. I think I'm going to look for this and see if I can still buy it. Some of their music was released on Metal Blade, so it's probably still in print. I don't know if this album was or not, though.
So the only one I could find on this album is like the remastered one. They did like a remastered version of it, like in like 2021 or something.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You could probably buy it because it says it was released on COR Records. So this was probably like England only at the time, or import in America maybe. They didn't release anything on Metal Blade until 1987. Doesn't look like. Oh, and Relapse put it back out in 2015 on vinyl. So yeah, so there's that. So you can probably buy it from Relapse Records.
Do you think our Dr. Logan should have been playing some Sacrilege to our boy Dud?
I was about to say, yeah, he should have like had Sacrilege on the headphones for that guy to listen to.
I mean,
but,
yeah, what a treat that would have been.
No kidding, really.
he would have been more of a happy camper than he was.
Yeah, it was. I just think that whole. We'll get there when we talk about it, but that whole scene was like really weird, where he's like trying to put headphones on the zombie and like teaching him how to listen to music or whatever.
Hey man,
pretty crazy.
Like a little animal. It's all good.
Exactly.
Zombies, animals. Come on, baby. Yeah, they're all the same.
Like a little animal. Yeah, like a little pet.
But everybody check it out though. Like this Sacrilege band, I they're pretty good. Like they're for its time, like it's heavy. Like it's pretty crazy for its time, I would say. It's definitely like
very very screamy.
Yeah, like you wouldn't. This would be like something like kind of like you wouldn't hear before, kind of new. So I liked it though. Like when I was listening to it, I was like, okay, they got like this dark vibe to them and everything. The lyrics are not super duper punky, but you could tell that the influence is there. So good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, let's get into the meat.
Who booked this shit?
Of our story, brother. Who booked this shit? Of course, this is booked by the legendary George A. Romero.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And of course, it was produced by Richard Rumstein. Okay. This is the third film in Romero's Night of the Living Dead series. All right. And, like I said, when we did Dawn of the Dead last year for our Lights Out, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, 1 year ago. It's pretty crazy to think that movie like spawned so many like sequels on both the American side and Italy side, or different, just all kinds of genres. There's so many zombie movies out there. But to me, like this one right here, Day of the Dead, like I think this one really formed like the modern day, what we kind of think of like a zombie survival movie. You know what I mean? Like a serious one, not like Night of the Living Dead or something like that. The comedy ones are like the comedy ones, but that's how we got the whole brains and everything.
Well, you mean Return of
the Living Dead? Yes.
Yeah. Night of the Living Dead, I think, is serious like this movie is.
Yes.
Dawn of the Dead, George Romero has said he intended to be funny. Like it was intended to be somewhat comedic, but I think he's gone real serious again with this one.
Yeah.
Although there's some unintentionally funny stuff in it.
Well, okay, Rhodes being the 1985 Cobra Commander villain kind of was throwing me back a little bit with his lines.
Yeah.
But okay, so like I'm saying, like when I do the review, I'm definitely going to say some lines that I caught from him because they're hilarious to me.
Yes.
And I'm going to try to do his voice too because that was also hilarious. But when I'm doing that, the actual story, is a serious, like it's kind of freaky if you think about it. You know what I mean? It's a freaky storyline, and I really like how they did the survival zombie, apocalypse. Like they think there's more out there, but we don't know if there is or not. You know what I mean? It's very unknown.
Right.
And they're trying different ways to either stop or slow down the plague, but everybody's getting impatient. We could see nervous breakdowns. Like it had a lot of human elements to it that I thought there was really very, very good storytelling. So, some stuff about this movie. It was developed as a part of a 3-film deal with the film's production company, United Film Distribution Company. All right. Mm-hmm. So Romero elected to make the other 2 projects outlined in the deal Night Riders and Creepshow. So he made those 2 first before he did Day of the Dead.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Night Riders?
I don't believe I have. Obviously, we did Creepshow in our archives, but I haven't seen Night Riders before.
Yeah, I have Night Riders on DVD. We should maybe find a way to do it. It's not really a horror movie, though. It's about these guys who they're like in a motorcycle club, like they ride around on motorcycles, but they're like wearing like knight's armor and stuff, and they're doing jousting on motorcycles, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I thought this was kind of funny. So the film was, was given was getting the go ahead from UFDCs, but they had concerns over Romero's script because it had to be rewritten multiple times because of the UFDCs, because of the ambition. Romero had so many like ideas for this film, and he wanted to make it just as good because he describes, his the original film has Gone with the Wind of zombie films. Okay.
Right. So basically, that's what I'm understanding too. Is he had to rewrite the script because they really wouldn't give him enough money to do what he really wanted to do.
Yeah. And he did want to get an R rating too. So basically, he said he would need to be shot with the intention of receiving an R rating from the Motion Pictures Association of America to ensure the commercial visibility. So anything past an R rating, it wouldn't get that kind of visibility that the movie would get in theaters, which we've seen for some other horror movies.
Because at the time, the problem that you had in 1985 was NC-17 didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
So the only other option was to give it an X rating, and even though an X rating was not ever really intended to be made for porn, that's what anybody thought of it as. Yeah. So if a movie got an X rating, they thought it was a porn movie. So that's why they didn't want that to happen. Because now you can just make a movie that's NC-17 and people will still go see it. But back then, that wouldn't happen. Yeah,
exactly. And Romero also elected to make the film on a lower budget and to release it without a rating. He's like, fuck you guys. Mm-hmm. There is no rating for this movie. It's called Fucked Up.
Yep. It's called Fucked Up. It's rated Fucked Up.
So Day of the Dead was filmed in 1984 with above ground scenes in the cities of Fort Myers and Cinnabon and underground scenes near Wimpeng, Pennsylvania. Was it Wampung?
Yeah.
Wampung.
I have no idea.
I've never been there before. That's pretty... Sorry to everybody from Wampung.
Wampung, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're pissing somebody off.
Our massive listeners from Wampung. Bro, is that from Rhodes? Is he from Wampung?
I don't know.
How about you tell me straight, you son of a bitch? Now sit down and shut up.
We enjoy this show more than our listeners do, I think. But Wampum, yes.
This guy was Cobra Commander in real life. I mean, fuck.
He was. Yeah. Oh my. That guy. They should have got that guy to play Cobra Commander in the G.I. Joe movie.
I would have freaked out if this guy played Cobra. I mean, my God, he would have been the best. The best. So I'm telling you, man. So we have Tom Savini. He's returned. We talk about him a lot. Yep. We've done him in the Friday films, all kinds of shit.
Yep. Dawn of the Dead. Yep.
Dawn of the Dead, everything. But I think he really did a good job in this film. Like, I was very impressed with the gore in this film, especially for the time period. You don't even see shit like that nowadays. I mean, he did fantastic in this film.
Yeah, like this, especially the scene where, like you were talking about before, with the head that was ripped off.
Yeah.
And its mouth and eyes are still moving.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was an actual head for a minute, and I had to back it up. I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? Because you can see his neck. Like, I couldn't have put him inside a table. I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? And I go, it's an animatronic. He built that. So yeah, that was cool.
Now, he didn't do it alone. He was also assisted by a team of artists that included Greg Nicotero, which he's best known for Walking Dead and Creepshow.
Yep.
All right. And, of course, Howard Berger, who both of them would later work on the television series Walking Dead. That's why a lot of the zombies are very similar to the ones you see on The Walking Dead, in some ways. But this movie right here is probably the best influence on Walking Dead I think I've ever seen out of a movie. Definitely like this particular, more than Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead. I think Day of the Dead is mostly what they got a lot of Walking Dead stuff behind. ideas.
Yes, I mean, I would put it as Walking Dead ripped this movie off almost directly.
Almost. I mean, because like a lot of it's similar. Like, like you got a group of survivors not getting along in a small space. You got one group trying to calm everybody down, and you got Walking Dead's like a bigger universe than this movie. But a lot of the stuff that they were talking about in this movie is they were used on Walking Dead. Like, is there anybody out there looking for us? Is there more colonies out there? We don't know. We kind of have to find them. You got different groups and different personalities clashing with each other. You got crazy experiments going on. You got somebody trying to just rescue and do nice. You got, you don't have too many airplane pilots, but you got you got the group of moral people, and then you got the group of non-moral people too. So, and you see that clash with them, which Walking Dead is kind of what they're known for, is showing more of the how do humans react to a zombie apocalypse, more than just a zombie apocalypse, and then we're just showing a bunch of action stuff. So, and that's what this movie also did too, is also showing what a group of survivors in a small space trying to figure things out, what can happen if they just don't get along, like we saw in this movie.
Right.
So this is interesting too. So Day of the Dead premiered in Hicksville, New York. All right, on June 30th.
Of Hicksville, New York.
So the Hicksville, they got the world premiere for them over there, and that happened a little sooner. June 30th, 1985. July 19th. That's when all of us other peons of the United States got to see Day of the Dead. So let's see. Although the makeup effects were praised, the film initially did not match the critical and commercial success of its predecessors. The series did not see another installment until the 2005 release of Land of the Dead. Reception of the film has improved with time, and Romero deemed it to be his personal favorite film, the original Dead trilogy. So Day of the Dead was his favorite one out of the three that he originally did.
Yeah, it's really strange though, because I feel like, the information that I have was that he spent between $3.5 and $4 million to make it, but it made $34 million back. So it made 10 times its money back, but was not considered a success.
Well,
which I find odd. I don't know how. Compared to Dawn of the Dead, yes, I guess you're right.
I think, that's what they're comparing to. They're comparing the success of Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, which obviously Night of the Dead took on a whole phenomenon. Took off in a huge way. That went from the fucking bottoms of the fucking peephole movies to big ass on screen. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then Dawn of the Dead was so huge that it expanded, multiple countries of people trying to show it and rip off and show their own version. So it's,
True. So
I think that's what they were kind of saying in that realm. But I still think Day of the Dead, when it comes to how zombie movies should be, when it comes to the clash between how humanity would react to it, I think this portrays the best. Kind of showing just all the nervousness, you know what I mean? Actually all the fear and uncertainty, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times we'll get in these zombies movies, we'll get somebody who's the Mad Max character, you know what I mean? Who just turns the fucking killer on, But it's kind of
right. But that's not how it would be.
That's not how it would be with normal people, or even normal soldiers. They might act tough, but they're really not tough. You know what I mean? They're just trying to, figure things out basically in their own way.
Yeah. Yeah, because you found a place where you're safe. Well, we see this in Walking Dead a lot, except they have another element to it. But you find a place where you're safe, but then your next thought is, well, where am I going to go? I can't stay here forever.
Yeah.
But if I go out of here, the zombies will kill me.
Yeah.
In Walking Dead, it's always they find a safe place, and then somebody that's inside the safe place always fucks it up, and then they have to find another place.
Which we basically saw in this movie.
Which happened in this movie too. Yeah.
So this film was remade twice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first is the 2008 film, the same name, which I think is also a really good remake. So I thought that one was pretty fun. And the second is Day of the Dead Bloodline, 2017, which I don't think I've seen that one before.
Is that a sequel to the remake? Or just another remake?
It just says it's the second one. I'm not sure. I haven't seen Bloodline before, so I can't really tell you. but it looks like it's just like another just style, like its own style remake. So, and a television series named after the film began airing on Sci-Fi in 2021, with a standalone sequel, Night of the Living Dead 2, was reported in active development. So,
right,
still trying to get these ones out. Actually, I stopped watching a lot of like George A. Romero's like zombie movies probably after the. I know I saw the Day of the Dead remake. I don't remember it too well, but I remember it being pretty good. But I think the Dawn of the Dead remake was like one of the ones that people were praising a lot. Didn't that one come out in like 2004?
Yeah, that was Zack Snyder. That was one of Zack Snyder's early movies.
Yeah.
Before he did Superman.
Yes, I know that. Yes, I know that he directed and stuff. But I remember that one being very praised for being a really good remake.
Yeah, it was very good.
I think the last one that Romero did was that one that the zombie movie where it was like kind of like filmed in like first person camera.
Yeah, the one he made on an iPhone.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's Survival of the Dead. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Survival of the Dead. I think that's one he shot on an iPhone.
Yeah, so pretty crazy stuff. But I think his first three are always going to be his like most treasured.
Of course,
I would say.
I sort of wish he had never gone back to doing these Dead movies. Because it's just one of not that they're bad, but like Land of the Dead was pretty good, but the other ones are just like, eh. That's all I got to say about that.
So apparently, a total of 5 scripts were written. Has Romero wrestled with the film's concept and the budgetary constraints? The first draft was over 200 pages, which he later condensed to a shorter page count. This is a true original script. And to date, no copies of it have come to light. So,
sad.
Very, very interesting. That would have been very interesting to see his full script of this movie. I'm guessing there probably would have been more story, like more world building with his story, because we got a little bit of that. Because if you remember that scene where Sarah, she was talking about, well, maybe Washington's looking for us. They got bunkers there. Maybe maybe in his story he would have explored more of that, like more of the outside trying to come in or something. So the version was likely rejected because UFDC, the production company, felt it was too expensive for them to produce even with the R rating. So Romero scaled down the script to about 155 page draft. So then he consoled it again to a 104 page draft, labeling the second version second draft. So he went from 200 pages to about 104. So,
which is about where we ended up.
Yes. So, in an unsuccessful final attempt to get the story within budget premieres, when this failed, he dramatically altered the original story concept and ultimately produced a shooting draft that numbered only 88 pages. So we keep going down. Get that script, man.
Okay.
So we went from 200, 155, 104 to 88. The film was given a very limited release. This is chronicled in the documentary The Many Days of Day of the Dead on the 2-disc anchor-based special edition DVD of the film. That would have been fun to watch. I unfortunately don't have that one.
No, that's a really rare DVD.
Yeah, I have to find that one these days. Some of the original concept and character remain, but the film differs greatly from Romero's original script, and stated by actress Laurie Cardille. He could have made me this sexy little twit bouncing around with a gun, much more sexual element. But he made her intelligent and strong. In fact, whenever I would try and make her a little more emotional, he would not allow me to do that. So basically what she's saying, like, a lot of the females around the 80s and stuff, and we see this sometimes, like, they'll just be like some eye candy, or like they'll have like, they'll have to have a love interest. You know what I mean? Like they're part of the story, but they're more on the romantic element side, especially in a horror movie. You know what I mean? Like, you still have your final girls and stuff on some horror movies, but I think Romero was trying to make her more like a respected scientist. You know what I mean? Who cares for humanity more than just some, So.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, I mean, because even like the girl in Dawn of the Dead was kind of like that because she was the news lady, and she was kind of just there because her husband was there or whatever.
So this one I'm very interested.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So this one, our boy Joseph Polito, he was the guy who was cast as my main man, Rhodes.
Yeah.
The film's antagonist. All right, so he states that he pretty much just gave it to me. I don't know if he auditioned other people, but it was very quick. I came in, he was like, "You got it." Bro, he must have... What do you think this guy Joseph did? He came in there. He's like, "All right, Joseph, I need you to read the script. I need you to react to a scientist girl. You want her to sit down." I got it. You're gonna sit down, or I'm gonna have Steel up there shoot you in the ass. And Romero's like,
I know, yeah, I guarantee he just went in and just like delivered lines just like that. And
Romero's like, "Fuck, you're hired, bro. Holy shit,
you're hired.
You're hired.
Holy shit.
What kind of
shoot you?
What kind of 1980s cartoon villain are you?" Huh?
Yes, he was perfect.
Apparently, Joseph, he acted in 2 prior films directed by Romero, so I guess Romero kind of knew him. The first being his debut in he was in Dawn of the Dead? I don't remember him at all in Dawn of the Dead.
He was like one of the cops on the dock. Gotcha, Dawn of the Dead. He had a very small part.
And apparently he was in Knight Rider's movie too.
Yeah, he was also in Knight Rider.
So it probably had and then in between those films, he played his first lead role in a film entitled Effects, 1979. So very interesting. In an interview, Plato was asked if Romero had him in mind. Plato stated that one of the reasons why he got the role was because of the budget being scaled down from $7 to $3.5 million. It's like,
so he could afford him.
Come on,
he was an actor that he could afford. Yeah,
but I mean, he was, like I said, man. Like I know the movie was serious, but he was so good in this film. Like just the way he just, I don't know, just the lines he was saying, it was just cracking me up. The role of Dr. Matthew Frankenstein Logan was played by Richard Liberty. In a 2000 interview, Liberty stated that he received a call from Christina Forrest, Romero's then wife, and casting director for Day of the Dead, where he was both offered the role and told that George Romero specifically wrote the role for Liberty. Liberty had previously worked with Romero on the 1973 film The Crazies.
Yes, also a great George Romero movie.
And have you ever heard this band, NRBQ?
Yes, NRBQ. They're like a kind of a. They're like what you would call a bar band. Like they're like a really, really good rock and roll band.
Well, they were in
NRBQ.
They were in there for zombies. They played some zombies. I'm not sure who. I don't know what they look like or which ones they played, but I didn't notice they had like a clown zombie. Did you see him? The clown one?
Yeah, I was gonna mention. See if you saw that. The clown zombie was great. There's like a lot of weird like outfits. Like there's an army zombie, which I guess kind of makes sense. And then there's like a clown zombie and one that's a nurse and one that's like a baker or something. She's wearing like some weird hat. And yeah, I just like I don't know. The costumes crack me up.
Now, let me see. Now, I was debating if this soundtrack was made by Goblin, but I don't believe it was.
No.
It was made by John Harrison. But, I mean, if this guy, he was basically trying to copy Goblin on some stuff. I could tell.
I agree.
The main theme that they were using was like an alternate version of the main theme that they used on Dawn of the Dead.
Yes.
So,
I know that him as a director. Like I did not know that he did music until this, but he directed the sci-fi miniseries of Dune.
Oh, interesting. Like the new one, or this?
No, not the brand new one, but Sci-Fi's channel in like I don't know the 2000s some point did a Dune miniseries and then a sequel to it, and he directed both of those. So I know him as a director. But apparently he recorded movie soundtracks too.
So we talked about the sequels, we talked about the remakes, but this movie also spanned a comic book as well too.
Weird.
So Steve Hutchinson wrote the 24-page comic Day of the Dead Distortion. Say that 10 times fast. Which was exclusively released to celebrate the film's 25th anniversary and shows the origin of Bub before becoming a zombie. That would be kind of cool.
I gotta know how Bub came to be.
What did you feel about this Bub? Like, Bub is obviously one of the most famous zombies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? With the, there's a lot of iconic paintings of Bud and the headphones on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's probably the most iconic zombie. Like that. Usually, when someone shows a picture of what a George Romero zombie looks like, that's usually who they pick. It's usually Bub.
And like I was saying, they did majority of the films outside and Florida. And I noticed that right away, Fort Myers, Florida, because they had the palm trees around there.
Yeah.
So, but also too, our boy Tom Savini's, he did have some props fail during the production, but he did still get nominated and won the 1985 Saturn Award for Best Makeup. So at least he got a reward for that because he definitely did a fantastic job. Him and his whole crew did that on here. So, obviously there's more to, Day of the Dead. There's so much, in-depth detail on there. Mm-hmm. So, I do recommend checking out that documentary on the Day of the Dead because, this is a very influential film. Like, I can't say that enough about this one. When I watch this, and especially if you watch, like, The Walking Dead or like any kind of, like, even like The Last of Us and stuff, like, you can see that this Day of the Dead, to me, what it did was it kind of brought like more of a human element into it. And it shows like not all humans in a scenario where there's like apocalyptic, plague happening, that they all get along. Just magically.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like different people deal with stress different ways. And I really like the element in this movie, of what he was doing with that. So I thought that was very creative, and we could see that a lot of modern day zombie movies, copy that element. You know what I mean? We you don't really just see a regular zombie where everybody just gets along. You know what I mean? So
exactly, it's more realistic. But yeah, you're right. Like Last of Us and Walking Dead. Well, hell, any zombie movie made after this movie would not exist if it weren't for this.
Yeah. And to me, that's because of the human element that he put into this movie, which I thought was like very, very creative. And shout out to Zombie 2,
absolutely,
our main man Fulci doing his. We could check that out. Last year we did his movie on there. I loved all the Zombies trilogy. And, what's crazy? Like I think that Zombie movie is getting a lot of love because no shit, like this last week. Like twice in the same week, I saw a zombie hoodie and a zombie shirt. So that movie's still getting some love. So
absolutely. I mean, it's still just as popular today.
So, but let's get into the full review of Day of the Dead.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
First, he created the most frightening film ever made. Then, he took his unique vision of terror one step further. Now, George A. Romero takes us out of the night, beyond the dawn, and into the darkest day of horror the world has ever known. Day of the Dead.
There have to be survivors in Washington.
Oh, my.
They have more sophisticated shelters than this one. There have to be people in those shelters who know about us, who know where we are. With no radio contact, they'll come looking for us.
I said shut up! They can be tricked into being good little girls and boys. The same way we were tricked into it on the promise of some reward to come. What the fuck is wrong with you people? They're dead! They're fucking dead, and you want to teach them tricks?
They have to be rewarded, Captain. Why else will they do what we want them to do? I don't want him to do anything but drop over. Those are my men in there! That's it. Run, you fucking lunatics.
George A. Romero's Day of the Dead, the most eagerly awaited day in horror film history.
Alright, so we start off the film with the girl sitting in just a cell, I guess, with some painted walls. And we find out that it's a cell, I guess, you know, a room.
I guess so, yeah.
A room with no furniture, has a calendar on there. She looks at the calendar. It's October 31st. All right. Halloween is here. And then while she goes to look more at it, some hands pop out of the wall. And then she wakes up. And then we find out that this girl is going to be one of our, well, pretty much the only girl in our story, Sarah. All right. The scientist girl trying to help out humanity. And she is flying in a helicopter. And she's flying with Bill and John, which John is the pilot. Bill is
He's the Jamaican guy.
Yeah, the Jamaican guy, John, yes. Bill, he's like the radio. Like, he knows how to use the radio, you know, to try to get us, you know, trying to contact, you know, anybody that's out there. And then we have Miguel, he's in the back, and he's like the soldier part of the group. And of course, we got Sarah. So basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to, from the bunker that they're at, they have one helicopter, and they're using the helicopter fuel to see if there's any more like survivors out there from where they're at. So they're locked under like a bunker, but they're trying to find if there's anybody else out there, like more communities, maybe more shelters, you know, maybe more scientists to help them fight off this, you know, plague or zombie attack that they don't, you know, that this thing that's pretty much killing the world right now. So they land. A lot of people in the helicopter like, no, we ain't going out. We ain't go. Like, if you land, we're not going to get out there. All right. And because basically what they were trying to do is they were, you know, flying with the helicopter, but they're also trying to go a little further so they can get more of a radio signal. Because Bill, he's having to use like very old technology to get, you know, see if anybody's on radio wavelengths. So they land the helicopter, they get out and stuff, and we just have Miguel like screaming, "Is anybody out there? Is anybody out there?" on the microphone over and over again. And then we just see a bunch of shots of like abandoned cities, you know, trash all over there. There's like money flying everywhere, you know, just showing a world that's like very abandoned. And of course, the only voices that are hearing Miguel scream, if anybody's out there, are the dead. And I noticed right away, I was like, okay, you know, we went from Dawn of the Dead to here. And I mean, the makeup is greatly, has greatly upgraded.
Yes,
for sure. Now we're still keeping the painted purple face, but now we actually have some decay on there, which I thought was nice. So, you know, we're seeing all this dead stuff on the street, and then eventually all the zombies start showing up to them, and then they can kind of hear the noise. And I do like it how there's like one zombie walking, and there's like an alligator there, because you know they're in Florida. Just have an alligator walking around. All right, and then they basically show that there's a ton of zombies everywhere. So they show that everybody's going back to the helicopter, and they get on out of there. And when they're back on the helicopter, they land back at their camp. All right, and John wants to fill up the helicopter, but Sarah says, "Hey, I don't think we should fill up the helicopter because the dead are attracted to movement and stuff, and there's a lot of them out there right now." And you could tell that the group is pretty much frustrated with each other. Like everybody's kind of frustrated with each other. So Miguel is so freaked out that he can barely move. Like he's basically having like panic attacks. Okay, and he doesn't really want to admit it, but he's having a bunch of panic attacks. And Sarah's just kind of calming him down, but he keeps like snapping at her. All right. So this is also too when we meet, we kind of go underground. And we can see that they're all living in like this underground bunker. All right. And this is when we meet Alison's boy, Steel.
Steel. Yeah.
All right. Steel and his friend, what was his friend's name? What was his name? Oh, come on. So we had Steel and we had Rickles. That's right. We had Steel and Rickles. So they are kind of like the, what do you would say? They would basically be like the frat boys of the soldiers, huh? Like, just the assholes.
I guess so, yeah. Yes.
Because Steele's like, hey, what did you guys find up there? Nothing? You found nothing? What the hell? Like, basically the soldiers are mad because they're using the scientist group that they're with. They're using their resources, you know what I mean? They feel like they're using their resources for nothing. And the scientist group is like, well, we got to use this resource for this because we can't just go out there shooting them all because y'all don't have enough guns.
Yeah, they don't have enough bullets. Yeah.
And another thing is also too, like, a lot of soldiers are like, well, why can't we just leave here? And then they bring up a good point, like, where are you going to go? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly, where they're going to go.
So that's also a whole conversation that happens multiple times throughout this movie. Another thing too is the former captain. Okay, Major Cooper, he died. So we never got to meet Cooper, but he's dead. So we have a new leader in charge, and boy, do we ever. Okay. So now, they pretty much force Miguel to come with them, but Sarah says like, okay, I'm gonna come here, because Sarah's like, hey, I need you not to push Miguel because he's already, he's basically freaking out, and the soldiers like making fun of him and everything, and Sarah's like, okay, well, I'll come, and then Miguel's like trying to toughen up, and he comes, because basically what they do is they have like on the underground bunker, they have a section where they kind of like cattle off the zombies, they kind of capture them,
yes,
and they kill some of them, but they capture some of them for research. All right. And this whole big scene is basically showing that Miguel, he's so freaked out he can't do anything. We see that Steel is basically an asshole. And he's not taking no shit. And we can see that Rickers is also like kind of a dick as well too. And they basically say that they're all not getting along. So Sarah, Steel and Rickers are not getting along. I think Steel tries to flirt with her a little bit, and she calls him a caveman, and then they make a bunch of jokes about cavemen. So they're grabbing these zombies to kind of like keep for testing, and Miguel's like, he's basically just not having a good, like he's basically he's so freaked out and he can barely do anything that he's basically kind of useless now. So they're all getting upset with him because they have very low manpower. So they need all the manpower that they can, and Miguel's not really like holding up his weight. All right. So now Steel's about to push Miguel into a zombie. All right, but then Zara kind of threatens Steel with the gun and tells him to leave him alone. All right, and then then we get Miguel basically in the scene where he's basically blaming Sarah for making him feel like an asshole and unworthy, and he doesn't want to be doped up anymore with something to calm him down. So he slaps Sarah a couple times. Then he eventually gives her a hug, and then she puts the medication in with him. And I couldn't tell, like, were they fucking? Were they fucking or no?
No, I think they are. Yeah.
Okay. Very weird. So yeah, so like so basically Miguel is like on the verge of he just had enough, pretty much. And he eventually falls asleep after she like dopes him up, and then she leaves. So now we see that they have this other doctor there, and we could see that basically the science crew and the army crew, they basically just don't get along with each other. The doctors were saying, like, you know, like Cooper guy, the former commander, you know, he was hard to deal with, but he wasn't as hard to deal with as some of this new crew that's coming out here. So the big thing is, Sarah, she wants Miguel off duty. All right. And this is when we kind of meet our new captain, Captain Rhodes. All right.
Yes.
And this guy ain't taking shit from anybody. Okay.
No.
He is basically saying, you know, Major is dead. I'm the new commander, and I want to see some results. Okay. And Sarah's, you know, kind of like going back and forth with him a little bit. And, you know, she wants, you know, him off duty. And basically, this Rhodes guy just takes a bunch of shots at her. All right. It's like, I need all the men I can get. Mm-hmm. All right. Just because you're laying with him and stuff doesn't mean you can take him off duty. It's like, maybe what I should do with him, Miguel, as he talk about, is maybe I should kill him. All right. And she's like, well, that's a man's life, you son of a bitch. And he's like, well, maybe I should put him some quarantine. So they kind of go back and forth of what they want to do with Miguel. Okay.
Yeah.
And like, bro, like seriously, this Rhodes guy, he's basically like, he's like this. He's like, what do you want me to do with him? Huh? He can't do anything. Maybe I should throw his ass in quarantine. Uh-huh. So Sarah is leaving because she can't handle him anymore. And he's all like, you better be back here at 7 p.m. for a meeting. All right? I ain't playing with you and I get along with you. You better be back here on the hour because I'm the new boss in town. Huh?
He's pretty intense.
Bro, that's great. I love it.
Yes, he's awesome.
So now we're meeting Logan. All right, which they call him the Frankenstein, because Logan's deal is he has been experimenting on zombies, and his ultimate goal is to make them like pets, pretty much, or to make them listen to humans and do what they say. You know, make them less threatening. And the way he does that is he's been trying to train some zombies for like human objects, and then he gives them like rewards, kind of like he would train like a newborn. All right, because in his research, he went over different, what rots off first when they turn into zombies, and he notices there's one part of the brain that's still attacked. Okay. And that's like the part of the brain that just kind of makes you have like your functions, like you're moving up and down or craving something. Because he could see that all the zombies are craving food, but they don't have any stomachs. They have nothing to digest the food. All right. So what he thinks is, because of that part of the brain that's still intact, I think he calls it the peak. He said the part of the brain that's still intact, the peak, it's like that because it's just having these zombies, that's just like their natural instinct is to feed, even though they're not feeding on anything. They're not like feeding themselves, they're just feeding.
Right. They're not they don't have to eat food, so they're not eating them, they're just chewing them up to kill them, I guess. Yeah, they're just like, that's just like their instinct is to go straight for killing. And he thinks that he basically, what he thinks is he can train that part of the brain to make them do like what the humans, make him train the zombies like pets, pretty much. That's what he thinks he could do. So that's why, but he still needs more testing for that. All right. Mm-hmm. And Sarah is basically like saying, like, listen, we are not getting along with these soldier guys. Okay. We're going to need, we don't need theories, okay, of how or what's going on with them and, why they're doing this. We need theories and stuff to control it, to get them to controlled. And Logan's like, okay, I'll have my theories. I'll show them examples and stuff, like, So basically what Sarah wants to do
I think she wants to take a lot of the research and move it towards a cure, like how to cure the actual zombies. Where Logan's more Frankenstein-like, where he wants to control the zombies. So we got two clashing scientists of what their ideas are like on this, but they both need to work together because the soldier guys, and especially Rhodes, hates them all. So now she can realize, like, oh shit, this Logan guy is actually working on dead Cooper. Okay? And she's like, bro, you better not let them the fucking soldier crew find out what you did. They're gonna kill us both. And he was all like, well, I had to do it because he basically said he kind of had to do it because he was like a very fresh, live specimen to train. He's like, don't worry about it. Nobody will ever notice because his face is all fucked up. And then
no, they would never notice that.
Yeah, and then not the soldier uniform he's in. Okay. So now some of the zombies come alive, and he basically has a very creepy like experiment room, which I'm sure we've seen multiple times in multiple zombie films. You know, Resident Evil had their crazy zombie experiment rooms. Walking Dead probably had them. Every zombie film now has their crazy scientist experiment room with them. So I think this movie is definitely one of them that inspired that part of the genre.
Yeah.
So now we are at the meeting. Well, part of the meeting. So Steele and Rickles are giving Bill some shit because Bill says he needs better equipment, radio equipment. All right, and basically Steele's like, well, maybe if you lay off the booze, you can get some work done. All right, so they start arguing, and Bill's thing is like he's basically using radio equipment from like World War II. Okay, and it is 1985, so they do have better equipment out there, but he just doesn't have it. And our boy Rhodes is like, oh, you fuckers need all this equipment. First, the scientists say they don't have enough equipment. Now you don't got none of equipment. We gotta do what we have to do, and I need results.
Yeah, this is
fucking bro. This guy. I mean, he's basically Cobra Commander. Okay, but
yeah, I'm really enjoying your Rhodes impersonation. Your Joe Pilato impersonation is fantastic.
Bro, I don't know how I did this. I can barely do this right now. My throat's about to kill me. This guy did it this whole movie. Okay?
Yep.
I wrote down some other good ones, so we got some good ones coming up. All right, so now, basically, Rhodes, he's pissed. What's new? And basically, Sarah is saying, like, hey, you know, we need to wait here, and we need to find people in Washington, because people in Washington probably have the best facilities. They have the best air. They have that's later. Okay, they have the best facilities, okay? And they're going to come looking for us because they have to know we're here. All right? And I'm looking at her as a man from the future, 2024, and I could tell her that if this happened, you would be fucked, just like you are.
Yeah.
Washington ain't coming for you, Sarah. All right? So, you know, Rhodes is getting pretty pissed, you know, about Sarah, and he's basically he's at the point where he's not seeing any kind of results, so he really wants results. And then Sarah's just like, listen, we ain't getting anywhere. I'm gonna get out of here. And Rhodes is like, Sarah, where do you think you're going? You're gonna need to sit down. If you don't sit down in that chair, I'm going to take this gun and I'm going to blow your brains off. And Sarah's like, no, you ain't. Oh, yeah? You don't think I am? Hey, Steele! When I count down, you better blow her brains out. 1, 2, I mean it, Steele. If you don't shoot her, I'm going to shoot you. And eventually, he gets down to like 3. And then, like, everybody's kind of like, oh, shit, this guy's, like, serious. Because at first, Rhodes and Sarah were kind of, like, bickering back and forth. Like, she would call him an asshole and shit like that. They're kind of bickering. But now things are getting serious with Rhodes. Okay? So, basically, he's threatening Steele to shoot Sarah if she does not sit the fuck down.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And then eventually, John, he sees that it's like the shit's going to hit in the fan. And he basically tells Sarah to sit down. And eventually Sarah sits down, and he's all like, "That damn right, you better sit the fuck down." All right. Okay. And then, of course, he does one of my favorite lines in this movie. "This ain't a fucking field trip. This is a fucking war." I was like, fuck, bro, that's a great line.
Fucking field
This
trip.
ain't a fucking field trip. This is a fucking war. All right? I want results. All right? And the crews, and then, right, he's always saying he wants his results and everything, right? And then Logan comes in. And Logan's acting all casual. Oh. And like, bro, I'm not kidding. I almost had to stop the film and laugh because Logan walks in and Rhodes is like, "Oh, look who it is. It's fucking Frankenstein." I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, this guy just hates everyone that's in that building.
He called him Frankenstein because this guy is doing all these crazy experiments. I was like, yes, that's fucking awesome. If I was in a chair, I would have fell down. Okay.
Yes.
So Logan's like, "Okay, do you guys got any food?" He's like, "You want some fucking food, Frankenstein? Give me some results."
You want to eat?
You want to
eat? Give me results and you can eat.
And then he's all like, yeah.
Food is for closers.
Yes, exactly. and then he's all saying like, "Hey, I need some food and everything, and I'm hungry." And he's basically Rhodes is like saying, "You ain't gonna get no fucking food, okay? You can eat the shit piles you've been working on before you get any food." All right. And then this is when Logan basically said, "Listen, I've been doing these experiments and I have a way to control the zombies. Okay? That's what we need to do over here. You guys can't go out there and shoot them all. You don't have enough bullets. And if you take the helicopter, where are you going to go? All right? So the problem with our experiments are they can't just happen overnight. They're going to be a couple weeks for it to happen. Maybe even a couple months." And of course, Rhodes is like, "Fuck, I don't got no couple of months." It's like, well, you're going to have to get him. All right? Because that's what our experiment is. And then he goes, this is when Logan says, "Listen, her idea is probably not going to work of trying to cure them. There is no cure for them. There's thousands of them out there. There's way more zombies out there in the world than there are us. We are now the majority to the zombies out there. So our best chance right now is for us to figure out of how to control them, okay? And we have to find like a trick to actually control them. And by controlling them, we have to give them rewards. All right?
Right.
And then, like, I want to say it now, even though it doesn't say it until later, but Rhodes' line's about, "Are you saying you want to teach them tricks?" Well, that shit was catching me up. "You want to teach them tricks? Those freaks?" So now, basically, Rhodes is like this. He's like, "Listen, guys. I am the authority around here. I will give you a couple more weeks. But if any of you get out of the line, I am going to shoot you on sight." All right,
yes.
So he's not playing around anymore. So now Sarah's
as if you ever was before, but he's really not playing around.
He's really not playing around now. All right, so now, so Sarah, she's talking to Dr. Ted. Okay, that's like the other doctor that like barely does anything. He just like laughs with Sarah most of the time. And Ted was like saying like, "Man, that Major guy was crazy before, but this Rhodes guy's out of his fucking nuts, out of his mind." And she's like, and then basically Doctor was like saying, "Listen, like if Rhodes comes down to it, he's probably gonna like need me and Logan, but like you might be expendable. So maybe you should like back off a little bit from him, because you can definitely see that Rhodes has it out more for Sarah than he does like everybody else."
Right.
So this is when we see Sarah. She goes back. She's like sleeping next to Miguel, and we can see that Sarah, she's trying to be very strong in this movie, like not showing any kind of fear and just very determined to basically save humanity. But obviously she has a bunch of nightmares about the zombies, And then Miguel, he picks up on that and he confronts her about that. And then she kicks his ass out of the room. And then she leaves the room. And the next thing you know, I think Miguel got into a fight with fucking Rickles. I was like, that was random.
Yeah. Well, it sounds to me like there was more in the original script with that, and they just left this part in.
Yeah, I could see I could see them building a little bit more on the back story of Miguel and Sarah. So now Sarah, after she witnesses all the crazy shit, she runs into Bill, all right, and now Bill takes Sarah to go meet. Like, basically go into their little section, the Ritz. It's kind of like their radio command center. Because Sarah wanted to talk to John. And she sees John, and he's like in his like little like vacation room. Alright? Like has like, it basically looks like a little beach area. Foreshadowing that's going to happen at the end of the movie. And this is like a very human side that this movie portrayed. So basically, Sarah she was wondering, like, you know, what is Bill and John all about? Because she's saying, like, you know, you guys came over here and you don't really, like, do a whole lot, but we've been, like, feeding you and, you know, stuff. Like, how come you don't contribute as much as, you know, you should? Because she's basically saying, like, John and Bill are very, like, background characters. Like, they're not really, like, they're not in the trenches. Like the main arguments, like her and the doctors are, and the soldier guys are. They're kind of like in the background scene. And I thought John like did a very like realistic approach. It's like, listen, it's like, you all like, check this out. This place has all these fucking records here, mill records of, you know, actors and actresses, all these kind of records here. What does that shit mean now? Nothing. It doesn't mean fucking jack. You all want to do all this stuff out here and save humanity when humanity's basically dead. And he's basically saying, like, you know, this is what happens when, you know, we're basically not wanted anymore. Like the big father above is showing us what hell is like. You know what I mean? Like we're being punished basically for all the sins that we probably did of our lifetime. So, you know, it was very similar to the Dawn of the Dead scene where, you know, you had the the actor in there saying, like, you know, when there's no more room in hell, the devil walked the earth. So John in this movie is going to be like, very, very, you know, very similar to that, you know, character in Dawn of the Dead. So, but I thought his like explanation of like the world going and then what's his motivation, you know, and his motivation is basically like, you know, you're not gonna, you know, what are you trying to save here? You know what I mean? We got to keep just moving on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's nothing really to save in humanity because pretty much half of humanity they know is dead. So all this stuff that they're trying to cling on to, you know, you basically gotta think a different way to survive. So, but I thought that whole scene with him explaining this stuff, I thought that was pretty awesome. So now Sarah, she is meeting Logan. Okay. And this is when we see that the Logan, he's doing his experiments, his Frankenstein style experiments. And this is when we meet the Bub zombie.
Bub.
How would you explain Bub there, Alison?
Bub is a lovable zombie who just likes to listen to heavy metal music on his headphones.
Well, he also reads that book, Salem's Lot, too. I thought that was cool.
That's true. He does read a book. He's like the only zombie that reads a book.
Yeah, so basically, like, Logan, he's trying to teach Bud, like, distractions, I guess. And it seems to work.
Yeah.
Like, he is showing him, you know, stuff that he probably used as a human. Like, you know, music, toothbrush, you know, razor, a book. And of course, like, he's looking at it like he's like doesn't know what's going on, like it's like a newborn. But you know, you could see the biggest thing that Sarah notices is like, hey, you know, because they think this is kind of funny. That's like, why the fuck is he giving like a shaver and stuff? But Sarah is noticing like, hey, did you notice though? Like when Logan walks into the room, the Bub, he doesn't get all flustered. Like he doesn't get like all wild up to try to eat him. right? And that's actually pretty cool. Like, you can actually see that there's like, maybe there's something to Logan's experiments. They seem to be working, at least for this zombie they're working. And he also named him Bud, I believe after his dad. I guess his dad's name or something.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So now, like while this is happening, like you can see like Sarah and the doctor laugh a little bit. Rhodes come in. What the hell is going on over here? All right, what the hell is that thing? You know, it's like basically comes in the room, is about to shoot it, and then Logan's like, no, he gets in front of him, like, no, don't shoot it. You know, he's like, what are you trying to do with that thing? All right, and then he basically saying, okay, hey, just give him your gun. All right, and then he's like, I'm not gonna give it the gun. So they basically give him the gun like unloaded, and the zombie's looking at the gun, and he eventually grabs the gun, and he points it at Rhodes, and he tries to shoot him. And Rhodes is getting all pissed off, like he's gonna shoot the zombie, but then the zombie actually salutes Rhodes. All right, and then Rhodes is all like, I'm not gonna salute that big pile of trash. This guy's like the biggest 80s villain, bro, I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Now Logan explains, like, listen, you need to, he's trying to, show you that he used to be a soldier and everything. All right. And Logan's saying, like, basically, once he does a good deed like this, I will reward him. And Rhodes cannot handle that. He's like, Logan's like, you want to teach these freaks some tricks? Huh? You're gonna teach them some tricks and shit. He's fucking just going crazy on these guys. And then Logan's like, yes, good behavior should be rewarded. If good behavior is not rewarded through life, why are we even trying? So basically Logan is trying to say, like, the way that we can tame some of these killer deadly zombies is if we, treat them basically like they're animals or like newborns, where if they do a good deed, they'll be rewarded. So that's how they can kind of like train them. So if they could train a mass amount of zombies to, do good stuff and not harm them, they'll reward them. But we see what happens when Logan actually rewards one of them a little later on. So now we have Sarah, Miguel, and some other the soldier crew, and they're trying to collect more of the creatures. Steel is there too, and basically what happens is Miguel's leash thing breaks open, and one of the zombies gets out, and the zombie eats one of the soldier crew in the throat. And Miguel's like all freaked out, like, oh, it wasn't me, it wasn't my fault, because maybe he's pretty much like just freaked out at this point anyway. And he eventually gets bitten on the arm, and he runs away. And then we have Sarah go chase him, and then Steele is all pissed off because he had to kill one of his soldier mates, and then he killed off the rest of the zombies that were there. And he goes chased after Miguel, but Miguel already got knocked out, and she knocked Miguel out right away, and she just went over there and chopped off his arm, and she put towels to cover up the blood, which is crazy because we've seen multiple times in Walking Dead, where if somebody got bitten on the leg or the arm, they would immediately try to stop the infection going through the body, and they would cut off that limb. And you can coordinate that with this movie, because I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've seen that if somebody gets bitten or something, there's a way to stop it, basically, if you can cut off that limb. So I thought that part was pretty cool. And of course, Steele comes there. It's like, because, at this time, they don't know that. Nobody's ever seen somebody get their limb chopped off and still survive. They mostly just seen somebody getting bitten in turn. So Steele comes there, is like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. And Sarah's like, no, I think I stopped it. I think I stopped the infection. I cut it off soon. And he's like, no, like, he needs to die. She's like, well, if he turns, I'll personally shoot him. So she's basically trying to beg for his life.
Right.
And this is when Rhodes comes. Of course, he's all pissed off more. What the hell's going on over here? And basically, Rhodes is he's done with everybody now. Okay? He's like, we're not listening to any of y'all anymore. I'm not listening to Frankenstein. I'm not listening to any of y'all anymore. Tomorrow we're getting out of here, and we're going to be shooting them all up and getting out of here. All right? So basically, he says they're basically cut off. So he doesn't want Miguel up there in his quarters, and he doesn't want any of them up there in the quarters anymore. So now, Sarah's obviously freaking out. Like, she is just like, basically losing it now. He's finally showing some emotion up here. So before I go on, Rhodes did have a funny line. Okay, he's like, you aren't getting shit from us anymore. All right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to kill off this rotting pile of shit. He's talking about Miguel. He's like, you guys are going to kill off this rotting pile of shit? Come on, Steel. Let's get out of here. My heavy. And then, Sarah's freaking out. Now we have Sarah, Bill, and John. They're now trying to calm down a little bit. And, Miguel, he hasn't turned yet. Obviously he's like in shock and everything because they chopped off his fucking arm. So Sarah and Bill, they're about to leave, and they're going to go try to find some more ways to get out of here. And they're going to go through Logan's lab, I believe, to find some ways to get out. So they go to the Logan's lab. All right. Bill and Sarah, they're looking all throughout the research. All right. They see the dead heads. And then they hear this really weird recording of like Bill like talk about his mommy and stuff. I mean, Logan talk about the mommy. Did you get all this stuff of the recording? Did you get what was going on here?
Not really.
I think like the Logan was doing like these experiments, and
yeah,
I think he was trying to make it like I think he was trying to use Bub as like his like brother or something like that.
Right.
Because I remember hearing like mommy and stuff, like, because Logan goes up to Bub and he says, "Oh, mother would be so proud of you." So maybe they were like related or something.
I guess so, yeah.
But Bub puts on the headphones, and this is when we had the famous scene of the Bub listening to like the Logan's music. And the part about this, so every time Logan put his arm near the Bub's face, he wouldn't eat it. Mm-hmm. At all. And of course, this is also when Bub, he's like, okay, you did a good job. You didn't try to eat me and stuff. And now I'll give you a reward. All right.
Yeah.
And this is when Sarah and Bill see what the reward is, and the reward is basically one of those soldiers that died. Logan took the heart and fed it to Bub. All right.
Wow.
And of course, at this exact moment, guess who walks in to spoil everything? Rhodes.
Yeah.
He comes in there. What the hell is going on over here? What the hell are you feeding him? And then Logan's like, oh, I'll show you and stuff. And then he goes, and then Logan brings him down to like the cellar where all the dead soldiers are, all the body parts in there. And Rhodes is like, that's my men. You're fucking disgracing my men. He's like, no, I'm feeding them stuff. I'm getting really progress. And then fucking Rhodes just like fucking lights this motherfucker up. He put like 10 rounds in that bastard. Okay?
Yep.
Boom, 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 boom. Destroying him. So Logan's dead. Okay? And so, so Rhodes is like all pissed. He just loaded a bunch of shots into Frankenstein. All right? And now he is gathering up all the other doctors and stuff because he doesn't trust them either. All right? And this is when John, who was waiting there to watch over Miguel, he's worried about Sarah and Bill because he only gave him a half an hour to look. So now John goes look for him, and Miguel is actually waking up. He's still not dead yet. So now John sees the crew coming, and it looks like the crew has the doctor, the Dr. Ted with them. All right. And then Rhodes is like, listen, all I need is you, fly boy. All right. So you're going to get your fly boy pants over here and you're going to fucking fly me out of here. And guess what? We can't fit everybody on this airplane. So he just fucking shoots the fucking Ted doctor in the head. So there he goes. And John's all like, what the fuck's going on now? And basically, John's like, I will never, fly you guys out of here. All right. But he's like, okay, well, you're going to have to. Because Rhodes took Sarah and Bill and put them in the cattle room. And they're basically going to have them go into like the cave of zombies. And John's like, okay, I'll fly the helicopter now. Like, if you let him go, I'll fly the helicopter and all you in there. And then Rhodes like, well, you're going to have to fly the helicopter anyway. All right? If we kill him or not. All right, so they're going back and forth. And he's basically, Rhodes is not going to let Sarah and Bill free. He's just going to let them, stay in that cave where all the zombies are going to, kill them. All right. And he actually does one of my favorite lines here. So John, he still has a gun on him, right? Mm-hmm. And they're kind of like doing like a little bit of a standoff. All right. And Rhodes is like, he tells his men, don't shoot him. We need his ass.
We need his ass. We have to have ass.
We need his ass. That reminds me of that, like, Ric Flair. Like, when he was, like... Ric Flair, like, he was, like, freaking out on Nitro one day about Eric Bischoff. And he was all like... He's like... Yes. I'm going to beat your ass. And then, wait, what did he say? Fuck, he was all like...
I'm trying to remember. I know what you're talking about.
He was like saying, like... I'm not only going to beat your ass, but I'm going to shave your ass, too. I was like, you're going to shave his ass?
Wow. That's,
I was like, damn. All right.
Yeah.
That reminded me of when Rhodes is like, we need his ass.
We need his ass.
So now we have Steel, okay? And Steel and John start fighting. All right, and then Steel gets the upper hand on John. So now we have Bill and Sarah. They're just making a run for it. All right, Steel is like punching John a shit ton. And then while this is happening, they can hear an elevator. And Rhodes is like, what the hell is on the elevator? And he tells Steel and the crew to go see who's using the elevator. And apparently it's Miguel. Okay?
Yeah.
And then we can see a couple of the zombies. I believe this one was the bub eating his chain off. All right. Mm-hmm. So now we have Bill and Sarah. They're stuck, and they're getting attacked. And they basically kill a bunch of zombies. And we have this really cool scene of like them killing a zombie, and like half his head is like cut off, and you can see his eyes moving. So really good effect there.
Yeah, it's great.
So John finally gets the upper hand on Rhodes, but he doesn't eventually shoot him. He just takes his guns. All right, and he runs through to the cave area to go help Sarah and Bill. Okay, mm-hmm. And basically their plan now is obviously to grab the helicopter and get the fuck out of there because this Rhodes guy is just going crazy. And so now Steel and Rickles, they cannot figure out who is using the elevator, and then whoever used the elevator made it so they can't use it. It's basically broken. All right.
Yeah. And they broke the wires.
Yeah, they broke the wires, and they said that fucking bastard. Still, he's another one too. He's like he'd be like Cobra Commander's like assistant. You know what I mean?
Yes. Like
that, the over the top. Like the over the top villain, that bastard. So now John is calling for Sarah. All right, and they eventually all meet up together. And this is when we see that Rhodes wakes up, and Rhodes is like, "He took my guns, that bastard." So now we can see that Miguel, Miguel's plan is basically he got on top of the elevator, they're on the outside, and he basically let all the zombies loose on the outside gate.
Yes.
All right. And then he lays down and he gets basically eaten. And one of them was a clown zombie, which I thought that was funny.
Well, yeah, but he also has the
the elevator
thing
yeah.
that makes the elevator go down. Yeah.
So he makes the elevator go down. Okay. And this is when Rhodes and Steele and all of them, they see it and they're like, oh shit. So they fucking get out of there. And we can see that Rhodes grabs the golf cart, but he doesn't wait for Steele and the others. And of course, Steele's like, you fucking bastard. You're getting out of here. Bro, Steele and Rhodes, all they did was yell at each other or yell at people the whole movie. Like every line was just them yelling at everybody. So now we get really cool scenes of the zombies eating up the crew. Like we get the first guy, that's the one where they get tear the first guy apart, which he wasn't really named. He was just like a crew member. And that's the one we can see his head being dragged with his eyes still moving. All right, still, we got Rickles. He's trying to fight him off, and he's doing, he's getting out of there. He's trying to escape, but eventually he gets overrun, and then he gets torn, and he gets the one where he gets torn, and you can see like half his face getting torn off, which is a really good effect as well too.
Excellent, yes.
Then we get to Steele, and he's shooting up the zombies, and this whole time Rhodes basically he locked himself into the medical room, and he basically was hiding, and he's like, obviously he turned coat on his own men. He's just trying to save his own life. And then eventually Steele, Steele shoots down a lot of zombies, then he shoots through the door. All right. And then now we can see that Bub grabs a real gun. Okay. Because remember, he's like the smart zombie because he got played like Beethoven.
Yeah. Yeah. And he can read.
Yeah, he can read too.
Apparently.
And he's walking around, and Steele is about to shoot up Bub. And before he shoots up Bub, he gets attacked by a bunch of zombies that come into his room. And he basically gets cornered. And Steele is the only guy who actually killed himself to avoid being basically torn apart.
Right.
So he did that aspect, which is another aspect we've seen a lot in like Walking Dead and stuff, where if you're cornered, you don't want to get torn apart, you shoot yourself. So
you shoot yourself, exactly.
Yeah. So the big scene here now is we have Sarah, Bill, and John. They're basically trying to escape through the cave to go up the ladder to go, to the helicopter. While all this is happening, Rhodes, he is trying to, escape, but he runs into his nemesis, Dub, and Dub starts shooting his ass. He's like, oh, fuck. So basically Rhodes gets shot in the arm, gets shot in the leg, and he basically is trying to escape Dud. But Dub eventually shoots him in the stomach, and then Rhodes falls into a pit of zombies. Well, it doesn't fall into a pit. He kind of like the door opens, and there's just a bunch of zombies there, and he gets shot in the stomach.
Right.
And then Rhodes eventually gets torn apart. And he said something I couldn't really understand. He's all like, oh, shit, I'm screaming.
No, he's saying, choke got him! Choke got him!
What does that mean?
That means like when you are eating my intestines, you're gonna just choke on them.
Oh, choke on them. Gotcha.
Yeah. I guess my Rhodes impersonation was too good. You couldn't understand him.
Choke on him, brother.
Yeah.
Did you get his ass?
Shaved his ass.
Shaved his ass. So there goes Rhodes. Boy, this guy was all over this fucking thing, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss him. I mean, he was so intense. Like, yes. Especially like the meeting scenes and stuff. Like, man, just what could have been. So he's all eaten up now. Now we have this long chase scene of the crew, Bill and John and Sarah. They're running, up the elevator, past all the zombies. They eventually get onto the helicopter, and we just cut to a scene where Sarah's on the beach.
Well, kind of. So so hold on before we go past this. I really like this scene a lot because they're running and they come to the chain link fence that has a lock on it, and it's John the Jamaican guy, Sarah, and then the other guy, and then they see the helicopter and they see the zombies walking toward the helicopter, which is between them and the fence, And then she's like unlocking the gate, and then she stops and just stares at him for a minute. And John's like, "Hurry up! What are you waiting on?" It was just such a movie thing.
Yeah,
like like how in movies, in reality, you would be in as much hurry as you could possibly be to get through that gate and get to the helicopter. But she does a movie thing where she stops and looks, and it's almost like he's just like breaking the fourth wall, saying, "Hurry the fuck up and unlock this thing so we can get out of here." But then I was a little bit confused because then she opens up the door of the helicopter and a zombie eats her. But then she wakes up because it was a dream. But I guess they did get on the the helicopter, and then they flew to a beach somewhere because then they're all like fishing and having fun on the beach. And that was pretty much the end.
Yeah, I guess it's made you to think like if it's like, if it happened or not.
Right.
Like it made you think if she really got eaten stuff on the helicopter. And that's just like her dream when she's getting eaten, or if it really did happen, they actually escaped, and it's like November.
Yeah,
3rd.
or is the whole movie a dream, and she dreamed the whole thing, and then they were really just on vacation the whole time, and there's no zombies at all.
So she dreamed Rhodes.
Yeah.
Fuck. Golly, if I had this guy in my dream, you fucking dreaming me? You're telling me I'm wasting my men on your ass. And your fucking dream? I don't want to see your fucking dream anymore. What I want to see is my men stick their knife up your ass.
And then shooting it. Shoot your ass.
Shooting it, ass, brother. Get me off this fucking island. What kind of fish do you think you got over there? Huh? Golly, this guy was so fucking great. Like, I know it was a very serious and good film. Like, I talked about those aspects, but this guy was fucking just cracking me up this whole fucking movie. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Very fun movie.
That was it.
I liked it.
Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead,
So
brother.
how long do you think, this was several years in continuity, I think, after Dawn of the Dead. I think it's been several years, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's, well.
In storytelling time.
I would say, I don't know about several years, but probably definitely maybe like a year or two. Because, they're, I can't, it's probably at maybe a year or two, because obviously it didn't just happen. This crew has known that there's zombies around, and they're trying to, research to try to find more people, by radio signals and stuff. So if it wasn't like a couple years, maybe a couple months after the fall happened. But yeah, I would say there's definitely been some time before Dawn of the Dead and then this movie. I would definitely say so.
I think so. I think things have happened. They're doing science on the zombies now and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, and they already had like a commander before Cooper and stuff, and who knows how long he was in charge for. So
right.
I want to know what does this Rhodes guy do?
He's just a commander of their base or whatever. He's just in charge at the base.
Yeah, but like
he's supposed to. Like you said, they're supposed to be there protecting the scientists, but they hate the scientists for some reason.
Well, they hate the scientists because they feel like the scientists ain't doing nothing, and they want action.
Well, I mean, they're doing science shit. Like the military guys don't understand that. Just let everybody do their damn job.
But they're also.
I mean, nobody's telling Rhodes how to shoot people in the ass. So I mean, just let him do that, and that's his job, and then let the scientists do their job.
But I think he feels like the scientists are so slow about trying to figure this shit out.
Science is slow sometimes.
Most of his men are dying out there. Mm-hmm. And he's a war man, okay? This ain't a fucking field trip, Alison. This is war.
No. No, you're right. This is not a fucking field trip.
What do you think this is? But what if I just do a whole podcast talking like Rhodes on here?
Should do that next week.
Up
the
next,
whole episode. Just
up
talking
next,
like
you assholes. We're talking about the New York fucking Ripper. He's gonna rip your ass out. By the way, that's what we're doing next week, everybody.
Yeah, coming up next week, New York Ripper, Lucio Fulci again.
Oh, yes. So I jumped the gun there, but I had to do it. So, but yeah. So next week here on the Retro Blood, we are going to be talking all about deadly New York killers, and this is actually, we actually had so we've been meaning to do this for a while. Okay. We've been trying to do like a fan made month, or like the fans get to pick out, what they want to hear. And we actually had a
Yeah.
couple submissions. One of my favorite one is one that Alison will probably hate, is the killer objects month.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think I told you
What is
about that one before with the killer elevator. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
It's an elevator.
Yeah, we're
that
gonna end
kills-
up doing that for sure.
So that was recommended from a couple fans. I was like, we'll definitely do. I definitely want to do that month coming up here soon, but like not like that might be like a next year thing, because we already have like a bunch of stuff booked up already coming into the Halloween
For
season
the rest of the year, yeah.
But
true.
this next month was recommended from a really dedicated fan of ours, and we'll talk about that next month and who recommended and everything. But we've been meaning to do like this like New York month for a while.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a really cool lineup, and like the only trouble part about this month is the actual horror movies that like freak me out are like the real life serial killer ones, and that's like almost all of what we're doing.
Yep.
So there ain't gonna be no.
It'll be a fun month.
I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of laughter in those episodes. More like me just being freaked out. As you know.
Have you ever seen New York Ripper?
No, but I do own it.
Okay,
Because
so
I have
yeah.
this.
So
I have
it's,
this. I bought this Fauci collection.
Yeah.
Like it has the New York Ripper and like some other movies in there that he did, and I've been meaning to watch it for a while, so I'm pretty excited because I love his stuff. So yeah, so it should
he's
be
great.
should be
Fauci's
fun.
awesome.
But everybody, thank you for joining us for Beyond the Grave or Dead in the Grave month, part 2.
Back from the grave. Yeah.
Back from the grave. Very fun stuff. We'll probably have to do a part 3, to be honest with you, because there's so many fucking zombie movies in the 80s. It's not even funny. But I highly enjoyed all the ones we did on the show this month. You know, we had like a mixture of everything. And I liked how we had some of the some zombie movies that are not like traditional ones too. Like, you know, like Night of the Creeps. You know what I mean? We had some slugs out there taking over the human bodies, making them all like zombie-like creatures. We had a burial, Dead and Buried was one of them, which we had a crazy, mad mortician guy turn the townsfolk into his dead creatures, which was pretty freaky. I liked it. And of course, we had Burial Ground, which is more, I guess, more on the lines of a zombie movie, even though they had the most casual zombies you would ever see. Like if you saw like some zombies like trying to order like a coffee or something, these are the zombies for you, brother. They're just hanging out, having a good time.
Absolutely.
They maybe they were Bud's relatives. You know what I mean?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
They're all like linked.
Bud was pretty chill.
It's chill. And of course we had
Pretty chill vibe.
Day of the Dead, which is probably one of the most famous horror movies of all time. But I could not get over the Rhodes character and how intense he was.
Yes.
So, but yeah, this is definitely a fantastic month. I enjoyed it. So
It was a fun month. Yeah. All the movies were good.
But join us here next week, like I said, for the New York Ripper. All right, and we'll give you the full lineup for September. God, we're already in September. Can you believe that?
I know. It's
got-
fall time already, man.
Fall times already, man. And we got one more month into our Halloween spectacular. So it should be pretty fun. There's a lot of shit happening in Halloween, man.
Dark beer time will be starting soon.
Yeah, we're gonna be the beer reviews will our loved stout beer reviews will come back where we're basically drunk on the podcast most of the time.
Yeah.
Those will come back.
Yeah.
The Halloween special, which we're trying to do live. So not live, but like, you know, on camera, so y'all can see our beautiful faces.
We'll see what happens.
I will get drunk on the air. Fuck it, why not?
Mm-hmm.
All right, some dark beer and shit. We'll see what happens. Well, we picked out a really good Halloween special. I think you're all gonna like it. And then, of course, the Halloween Havocs will return. The Battle of the Halloween Havocs too. So, but everybody, Jay Alison, James Kline. We'll be playing. If I can find it, to be honest, this band's really underground, Sacrilege. If I can find something from them, I'll play it on the YouTube or the Facebook. But like I said, they're pretty underground, so I'll see if I can find anything from that era. But, you know, check us out. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're getting a lot of love on the YouTube, so thank you everybody listening to us on the YouTube. Don't be afraid to hit that like button and comment button. Support the show. You know what I mean? Me and Alison try to have a good time for y'all out here. I mean, what review in the podcast history basically just talks about the Rhodes character when it comes to Day of the Dead? Besides us. Okay?
Nobody does anything like this.
Come on now. You know what I mean? We're out here for the entertainment. But everybody, join us next week as we do that New York month. Jay Alison, James Kline. We'll see y'all later.
See you guys.
Now get the fuck off this podcast, you asses.